You deleted it. You emptied the trash. You even pressed delete permanently. So the file is gone forever, right? Not necessarily. And the reason is much bigger than most people realize. Imagine you uploaded a photo 5 years ago. Maybe you posted it online, saved it in the cloud, or sent it to someone. Today, you decide you never want anyone to see it again. You find the photo, press delete, confirm the warning, and within a second, it disappears from your screen. It feels final, but you did not actually watch the photo being destroyed. You only watched an interface stop showing it to you. Somewhere behind that button, an entirely different process has just started. When you originally uploaded that photo, it didn't simply enter some mysterious place called the Internet. Data traveled from your device across networks to computers operated by the service you were using. Depending on the system, that information could be processed and stored across multiple pieces of infrastructure designed to keep the service reliable. So deleting something online is not necessarily like burning a physical photograph. One command may need to be processed by multiple systems before the relevant data is removed according to the service's policies. And sometimes the first copy has not even disappeared from your own device. Delete a photo from a phone and it may move into a recently deleted folder. Delete a file from a computer and it may sit in the recycle bin or trash. It disappears from your normal view, but you can still restore it. Even after you choose delete permanently, another problem appears. Was that really the only copy? Your phone may have synchronized the photo to cloud storage. Your tablet may have downloaded it. Your laptop may have another copy. Maybe you sent it through a messaging app. Maybe you posted it publicly. Maybe someone else downloaded it or took a screenshot. Suddenly, the question is no longer, did I delete the file? It becomes, how many copies exist? Where are they? And how many of them do I actually control? This is what makes the delete button so interesting. When you remove a post from a website, the visible result can happen almost instantly. It disappears from your profile. Other users may no longer be able to access it normally. But behind the screen, the service may still need to process deletion across active storage, synchronized systems, caches, recovery mechanisms, or backups according to how that particular platform operates. That does not mean every company secretly keeps everything forever. Some information may be removed quickly. Some data can remain temporarily in backup or recovery systems. Certain records may also be retained where required for security, fraud prevention, legal, financial, or regulatory reasons. The crucial distinction is much simpler. I can't see it anymore is not automatically the same thing as no copy exists anywhere. And there is one part of this process that even the original website may no longer control. Imagine you post a photo publicly for only 10 minutes. Someone downloads it. Another person takes a screenshot. That screenshot gets sent into a group chat. Your original post can later be completely removed from the platform, but the image can still exist on devices belonging to people you have never met. Digital information is incredibly easy to duplicate. Send one photo to 10 people and you haven't divided one photograph into 10 pieces. You may have created 10 additional copies. So think about the file you deleted at the beginning. It vanished from your screen in less than a second. But right now, we still don't know whether another copy exists in your trash, on another device, in the cloud, somewhere within the service's infrastructure, or on somebody else's phone. And to understand what delete really means, we need to follow that file after it disappears from your screen. The first place we're going is surprisingly close, inside the device sitting in your hand. Now we know that pressing delete does not necessarily mean every copy disappears instantly. But before your photo ever reaches a server, there is another place we need to look, the device in your hand. Because deleting a file from a phone or computer is not always the same as physically destroying the data. Imagine you have a photo stored on your phone. You open the gallery, select it, and press delete. The image disappears immediately. But on many devices, it has simply moved into a recovery area such as recently deleted or trash. This is intentional. People make mistakes, and manufacturers know that accidentally deleting years of photos would be a disaster. So the device may keep the file available for a limited recovery period before removing it according to the system's rules. You can open that folder days later, select the photo, press restore, and suddenly the supposedly deleted image is back exactly where it was. But let's go further. You open recently deleted and choose Delete Permanently. Now the recovery copy disappears too. What happens next depends on the device, storage technology, software, encryption, and other factors. But the important idea is that digital storage does not work like a paper shredder. A phone contains flash storage made from physical memory cells. A computer may use an SSD or hard drive. Files are organized through a file system that keeps track of where information belongs. When data is deleted, the system can remove the references needed to access it normally and make that storage space available for reuse. The underlying storage is then managed according to the device and drive technology, and new data may eventually occupy space associated with old data. Modern SSDs and phones make this more complicated through technologies such as flash memory management, trim, encryption, and internal garbage collection. So the old idea that every deleted file simply sits perfectly intact, waiting to be recovered until another file happens to overwrite exactly the same location, is far too simplistic for modern devices. But from the user's perspective, something important remains true. Disappearing from the gallery is only one stage of deletion. Now add synchronization. You take one photograph with your phone, but your account is connected to a cloud photo service. The phone uploads or synchronizes the image automatically. Your tablet uses the same account. Your laptop may also synchronize the library. Suddenly, what looked like one photograph exists within a system connecting several devices and an online service. Depending on how that service works, deleting the photo on one device may synchronize the deletion everywhere. You remove it from your phone, and moments later it disappears from your tablet too. That feels almost magical, but it is really a series of instructions traveling between your devices and remote servers. Your phone tells the service that something changed. The service updates the account state. Other synchronized devices receive that change. But synchronization creates an important question. What if one device is not connected? Imagine an old tablet sitting in a drawer with Wi-Fi turned off. Months ago, it downloaded the photograph. Today, you delete the photo from your phone and cloud account, but that tablet never receives the new instruction because it is offline. Depending on how the application stores and manages local copies, data may still exist there until the device reconnects and synchronization occurs. Or it may remain as a separately saved local file if it was copied outside the synchronized library. The same thing can happen when you manually download a photograph onto a laptop or copy it to an external drive. Once a separate, independent copy exists, deleting the original does not automatically reach across the room and erase that copy too. And backups make the picture even more interesting. Your phone may be backed up automatically. Your computer may create scheduled backups to another drive. Some people copy entire photo libraries onto external storage before replacing a device. Those systems exist for exactly the opposite reason you are pressing delete. They are designed to prevent information from disappearing when something goes wrong. If your phone falls into water tomorrow, you want your photos to survive somewhere else. If your laptop storage fails, you want a backup. Reliability depends on copies, but copies mean there may be more than one place to consider when you want something gone. This does not mean a deleted photograph necessarily remains forever inside every backup. Backup systems have retention periods and eventually rotate, expire, or replace older data according to their design. But deletion can become a process that unfolds over time rather than a single instant. And there is another type of copy people often forget about completely, the one they created themselves. Maybe 2 years ago, you attached the photo to an email. Maybe you exported your entire photo library before buying a new computer. Maybe you copied a folder to a USB drive and placed it in a drawer. Maybe you downloaded the photo from the cloud onto a work laptop. The delete button on your phone has no idea those independent copies exist. It cannot delete something it does not control. So imagine our photo again. It has now been removed from the gallery. Removed from recently deleted. Removed from the synchronized cloud library. On your phone, it appears to be completely gone. But somewhere in your house, an old laptop could still contain a downloaded copy. An offline tablet could have old synchronized data. An external backup drive could contain an earlier version of your photo library. The more places information travels, the harder it becomes to answer a seemingly simple question. Where exactly does this file exist? And so far, we have only been looking at devices you own. The moment that photograph was uploaded to an online service, another enormous system became involved, one containing servers, storage infrastructure, redundancy, caches, and backups that you will probably never physically see. Your phone was only the beginning. Now we need to follow the photo out of your house and into the infrastructure that actually makes the internet work. The moment your photo leaves your phone, the problem becomes much bigger. You may think you uploaded one file to one website, but that is not how the modern internet usually works. When you press upload, your photo begins traveling through networks until it reaches infrastructure operated by the service you are using, and depending on how that service is built, the data associated with that photo may be processed across multiple machines and locations. Why? Because the internet is designed to survive failure. Servers crash, storage devices fail, networks go offline, entire facilities can lose power. If your only copy existed on one physical drive and that drive failed, your photo could disappear forever. So large online services build redundancy into their systems. Information may be replicated across storage systems so that if one component fails, another can continue serving users. That reliability is why you can open an app almost anywhere, sign into your account, and expect your photos and files to still be there. But now imagine you press delete. The service receives your request and can quickly make the photo disappear from your account. You refresh the page and it is gone. But behind the interface, the system may have more work to do. References to the photo may need to be removed from databases. Stored objects may need to be scheduled for deletion. Replicated systems may need to process the change. Cached versions may need to expire or be invalidated. Different services handle this differently, but the important point is that deleting data across a large distributed system can be a process rather than one physical file instantly vanishing from one machine. Then we reach backups. Backups exist specifically because companies do not want data to disappear accidentally. If hardware fails, software breaks, or a serious incident damages active systems, backups can help restore information. But that creates an obvious question. What happens if your deleted photo exists inside an older backup? In some systems, individual deleted items may not immediately be removed from every historical backup copy. Instead, backups can follow retention schedules. Older backup sets eventually expire and are replaced or destroyed according to the service's policies. That means data removed from active systems may, in some cases, persist for some period inside protected backup infrastructure before aging out. This does not necessarily mean employees can simply browse through your deleted photos. Backup systems can have strict access controls and may be designed for disaster recovery rather than ordinary user access. But technically, a copy may still exist for a limited period. There are also caches.
When millions of people request online content, services often use systems designed to deliver that content efficiently. Frequently accessed data can be temporarily stored closer to users or in intermediate systems, so the original infrastructure does not need to handle every request from scratch. When content is deleted, those systems also need to stop serving it. Modern platforms have mechanisms for invalidating or expiring cached content. But again, we are dealing with multiple systems reacting to one command. This is why the word internet can be misleading. There is no single giant computer holding everything. Your photo can interact with databases, storage systems, backups, caches, networks, and potentially infrastructure in different physical locations. Pressing delete sends an instruction into that ecosystem, but every relevant system has to handle that instruction according to its own role. And there is another reason some information may not disappear immediately. Companies sometimes have obligations to retain particular records for limited periods. Fraud prevention, security investigations, financial records, legal requests, regulatory requirements, or abuse prevention can affect how certain categories of data are handled. That does not mean your ordinary deleted photograph is automatically stored forever. It means deletion policies can be more complicated than the button on your screen suggests. Eventually, properly designed systems can remove data from active storage, backups can expire, and temporary caches can clear. The service may genuinely reach a point where it no longer retains the content according to its policies. But even if that process works perfectly, there is one problem no data center can solve for you. Your photo may have already escaped the service entirely. Someone could have downloaded it. Someone could have taken a screenshot.
Someone could have forwarded it. It could now exist on a phone, laptop, private message, or storage drive completely outside the original platform's control. The company's servers can delete their copies. They cannot reach into another person's laptop and erase a file that person already saved. And that is where our deleted photo becomes much harder to follow, because until now, we have been dealing with systems that can theoretically receive a deletion request. Next, we are going to look at copies that may never receive that request at all. Now imagine the company successfully removes your photo from its active systems. You search for it, refresh the page, check your profile, and nothing appears. But there is still a much bigger problem. The internet does not belong to one company. The moment your photo became visible to someone else, you began losing control over how many copies could exist. Imagine you posted it publicly for only a few minutes. One person sees it and takes a screenshot. Another downloads the original image. Someone sends it to a friend. That friend forwards it into a group chat. Within minutes, one photo can become dozens of independent copies stored on phones and computers you will never touch. Then you delete the original. The website removes it perfectly. But none of those other devices receive your deletion request. Their copies remain. This is one of the fundamental differences between physical and digital information. If you give someone a physical photograph, you no longer have that exact photograph. But when you send someone a digital image, your copy stays while another almost identical copy is created. You can repeat that process thousands of times at almost no cost. And every new copy becomes another version you may no longer control. Screenshots make this even harder. Imagine you send a private message and later use an unsend or delete for everyone feature.
Depending on the service and circumstances, the original message may disappear from the conversation. But if the recipient already took a screenshot, copied the text, photographed the screen with another phone, or saved an attachment separately, removing the original message cannot automatically remove those new copies. The same problem applies to videos. A clip can be downloaded and uploaded somewhere else. Then someone downloads that version and posts it again. Soon, the original uploader may delete their account entirely, while copies continue circulating across websites they never used. This is why something can appear to come back online after being deleted. It may not have returned from the original company's servers at all. Someone simply had another copy. Search engines add another layer. They help people discover pages across the web, but a search result is not necessarily the original content itself.
When a page changes or disappears, search systems eventually update what they show, but changes are not always reflected everywhere at exactly the same moment. Other websites may also quote, embed, repost, or discuss information from the original page, so deleting one source does not automatically rewrite every other page that referenced it. Then there are web archives and preservation projects. Some public web pages may be captured over time for historical or research purposes. Not everything is archived, access can vary, and removal policies differ. But once public information has been independently preserved elsewhere, deleting the original page may not erase every historical copy. And ordinary people create their own archives constantly without calling them archives. A screenshot folder is an archive. An old laptop is an archive. A group chat can become an archive. A downloaded video sitting on a forgotten hard drive is effectively an archive. This is where the scale becomes almost impossible to see. You may know exactly where you uploaded something, but you usually cannot know every person who saved it afterward. A post with 10 views might create 0 independent copies. Another post could be downloaded hundreds of times. Once those copies leave the original platform, there may be no universal technical command capable of reaching every device and deleting them. This does not mean deleting online content is pointless. It can be extremely important. Removing the original can prevent new people from accessing it there. Search results can change. Platforms can remove reposts that violate their rules or applicable law. Privacy and data protection rights may provide additional options depending on where you live and what kind of information is involved. But deletion has limits once information has been independently copied and distributed. And this gives us the strangest part of the entire story. The company you originally trusted with your photo might eventually delete every copy it controls. Its active storage can be cleared, backups can expire, caches can disappear. Your account may show no trace of the file. Technically, that company may no longer have your photograph at all. Yet, somewhere, an old phone could still contain a screenshot. A laptop could have a downloaded copy. A forgotten message could contain the attachment. The original is gone, but the information survives. So, when people say nothing on the internet can ever be deleted, that is too simple. Data absolutely can be deleted. The real problem is that once information has been copied, there may no longer be one single thing to delete. There may be hundreds of separate copies controlled by completely different people and systems. And that leads to the question that matters most. If your file can exist in so many places, is there any point at which you can actually say it is truly gone?
Even if every copy you can find is deleted, there is another question. What about the copies you cannot see? Imagine you uploaded a photo to a large online service and later removed it. The post disappears, your account no longer shows it, and eventually the service may remove the associated content from its active systems according to its policies. But large internet services are built around one priority that seems almost opposite to deletion. They are designed not to lose data accidentally. Hardware fails every day. Drives break, servers crash, software can malfunction, data centers can lose power. To survive those failures, companies use redundancy, backups, recovery systems, and multiple layers of storage. If one machine fails, another system can keep the service running. If something goes seriously wrong, backups may help restore information. That is great when you accidentally lose something important.
But it also means deletion can involve more than removing one file from one server. Your request may need to move through several systems over time. Active copies can be removed, database references can change, temporary cached data can expire, and older backups can eventually rotate out according to retention schedules. Different companies handle this differently, and there is no universal timer that tells you exactly when every relevant copy disappears. Some services explain their deletion and retention periods publicly, while others provide only general information. There can also be situations where certain records are retained for security, fraud prevention, financial, regulatory, or legal reasons even after you stop seeing them in your account. But this does not mean companies automatically keep every deleted photo forever. That idea is too simple. In many systems, deleted data really does move toward eventual removal. The important detail is that the process may take time. Think of a backup created yesterday containing your photo. Today, you delete the photo. The active service processes your request, but yesterday's backup was created before that happened. Depending on the backup architecture, the company may not rewrite an enormous historical backup just to remove one individual file immediately. Instead, that backup may remain protected until it reaches the end of its retention period and is replaced or destroyed. During that period, it may not be accessible through your account at all. You cannot restore the photo with a button. Other users cannot see it, and ordinary employees may not have access to it. Yet some representation of the data could still exist inside recovery infrastructure. Eventually, old backup sets expire, temporary systems clear, and storage is reused. At that point, the number of copies controlled by the service can continue moving toward zero. And this reveals something important about the entire story. There are different meanings of gone. Gone from your screen, gone from your account, gone from active servers, gone from backups, gone from every device owned by another person. Those are not the same thing, and they may happen at completely different times. This is why asking, "Is my deleted photo still somewhere on the internet?" does not always have a simple yes or no answer. You have to ask which copy, on which system, controlled by whom, and how long ago it was deleted. But now imagine enough time has passed. The platform has processed the deletion. Relevant backup retention periods have passed. Temporary copies have expired. You deleted your local versions. Nobody else downloaded it. Nobody took a screenshot. Nobody reposted it. Could the photo finally be truly gone? In that situation, the answer can actually be yes. Digital information is not immortal. Storage is physical. Systems change. Drives are replaced. Encryption keys can be destroyed. Data can be overwritten, erased, or otherwise become inaccessible. The phrase, "the internet never forgets," is useful as a warning about sharing information, but technically it is not a law of nature. The internet can forget. The problem is that once something has been widely copied, you may never know whether every copy has forgotten it at the same time. And that brings us to the final question. After everything we have followed, from your phone to servers, backups, screenshots, and other people's devices, when can you actually say something has been deleted forever? So, can something actually be deleted from the internet forever? The answer is yes, but only if every copy that matters eventually disappears, and that is much harder than pressing one button. Think back to the photograph we started with. First, you deleted it from your phone, then from recently deleted. The synchronized cloud copy disappeared. The platform removed it from your account. Its active systems processed the deletion. Temporary caches eventually expired. Older backups reached the end of their retention periods. And imagine that nobody ever downloaded the photo, took a screenshot, forwarded it, or saved another independent copy. At some point, there may genuinely be nowhere left for that photograph to exist. Digital information is not immortal. Every file ultimately depends on physical storage, flash memory, SSDs, hard drives, servers, and other hardware. Those devices fail, get replaced, are erased, and eventually disappear themselves. But the moment another independent copy is created, the situation changes. If someone downloaded your photograph before you deleted it, their copy is now separate from yours. Your delete button cannot reach their laptop. If somebody took a screenshot, that screenshot is a new file. If someone reposted your video, deleting the original does not automatically delete the repost. This is why the phrase, "the internet never forgets," feels true, even though technically it is not always correct. The internet can forget. The problem is that you may never know exactly how many places need to forget at the same time. And there is another important distinction. Deleting a photo, deleting a private message, and deleting an entire account are not necessarily the same process. When you delete an account, a service may begin removing or anonymizing different categories of information according to its policies. Some content may disappear quickly. Other information may take longer to leave backups or internal systems. Certain records may be retained where required for security, fraud prevention, legal, financial, or regulatory reasons. And information involving other users can be more complicated. A message you sent was not experienced only by you. A photograph you shared publicly may have been seen by thousands of people. Once information crosses from your device into someone else's world, complete control becomes much harder. So what should you actually remember from all of this? The safest moment to control digital information is before you share it. Before pressing upload, imagine that the person receiving it could save a copy. Before posting publicly, assume someone could screenshot it. Before sending something sensitive, remember that deleting your message later cannot guarantee that every independent copy disappears. That does not mean you should be afraid of using the internet. It means the delete button should not be treated like a time machine. It can remove information from places you control, and services can process legitimate deletion requests, but it cannot undo every action that happened while the information existed. Our photograph began as one file on one phone. Then it traveled through a network, reached servers, interacted with storage systems and backups, appeared on other devices, and potentially created copies the original owner could never see. One click was enough to upload it. One click could make it disappear from the screen. But those two clicks were never equal. Uploading creates the possibility of copies. Deleting requires those copies to disappear one by one. So the next time you hover over a delete button and see the warning, "Are you sure?" remember what that button can actually promise. It may remove the file you are looking at. It may begin a process that eventually removes the copies controlled by that service, but it cannot guarantee that the entire internet has forgotten. Because the internet is not one place, one server, or one giant computer. It is billions of devices controlled by different companies and different people, and there is no single delete button that reaches all of them.